Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Hi, guys. Hi, J Train.
What's going on, Sonia? How you doing?
Doing great. How are you tonight?
You know, man, I'm okay with football right now. My Saints just seem to escape from Rikers Island, going up to New York and barely escaping with the win. So, I mean, it is a win, so I'll take it. But I'm still disappointed in them. So, it is what it is. How about you? I know you and your team, we're going to talk about your team. We probably go there first. We want to talk about them.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for letting me be on. You guys, this is the NFL Download. I am guest co-hosting again with J Train here, filling in for Mac tonight. Mac, we miss you. Hope you get better soon. I missed this morning. I did try to log on because I saw Pags on there and I realized we were playing the Eagles. And yet again, you know, they always say almost doesn't count, but the Panthers look good. I mean, we are standing 10 toes down, considering we're a team that has not been that formidable. I mean, to me, I'm just taking the small victories where they are. And Vegas got it wrong for the third week in a row. 13.5 point spread. Absolutely not. So I won on the point spread. But Bryce looked good. First interception in 127 passes today, threw one interception. So that's really good. He looked more poised. Even after that, it was okay. He got a delay a game penalty, but he didn't lose his mind or anything like that. He was just like, okay, you know, it happens. However, that delay a game was at a very pivotal point. Let me just let y'all know now, even though I have my A hat on, it's for the Braves, not the Falcons who lost. I am representing my Pantherettes. The Panther shirt. Let me just make sure y'all see that. But I don't know. I mean, we really did hang in there, J Train. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to talk about my team first. I do want to talk about just a couple things, and then I'll, pass the platform back on to you guys. Make sure you all are downloading the Roku app and follow us on Northeast Professional Sports. You can catch J Train and Mac here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also catch myself with J Train on Friday nights. Friday with the fellas, we're on with a couple of other gentlemen, Kevin, Andrew, and some guests here and there. And we're also on the Wednesday night midweek show with Keith Engel. Jack Hirsch is also on the Sunday morning Big Football Show, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all that stuff, if you download the app and you follow us on YouTube, you can get all that. And so shout out to Linda and Mac, the great producers over there. So yeah, and again, let me just kind of just wrap this on up. At the end, we lost 22-16. In the first, we got on the board first, 3-0 in the first quarter. And so that was, promising. Then the second quarter, we still were on the board. We got a touchdown, but this is when Philadelphia came back. They got 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. Third quarter, Philadelphia was scoreless. I mean, defense was really standing up for the Panthers, and we got on the board again with another touchdown. Eddie Pinheiro crucially missed another field goal. Now, going into this week and actually going into last week's game, he was ranked the number 1 PAT converter in the league, but I don't know if they jinxed him or what. The last 2 games, he's missed crucial field goals. He missed 2 in the last game, and today he missed 1. So that third quarter gave us only 6 points. The fourth quarter, we were scoreless, and Philadelphia comes back with the 8 points because they went for the touchdown and a 2-point conversion. The crazy thing about that is they were going for the field goal and we got a penalty. So they were allowed to get another first down and they went for the 2-point conversion, sealing the victory by 6 points, 22-16. Eagles continue to soar. Saquon Barkley was absolutely on fire. Not as on fire as we've seen him in the past because, like I said, defense really looked good for the Panthers. But nonetheless, he looks good and he broke records today over LaShawn McCoy. He is now the franchise leading rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. So congratulations to him in one season. That's big.
Yeah, look, the Eagles are continuing to soar, like you said. Jalen Hurts had roughly 108 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 59 yards rushing, and 1 TD. But Barkley had 124 yards rushing. He's still continuing his path on to possibly breaking Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record of 2,105. So he's having a phenomenal year. I mean, look, he's soaring, and the Giants are pouring. They are going further and further down the drain, and it's just been really bad for them. That was a debacle for allowing your best player to go to an in-division rival that's really good, like the Eagles. He just makes his team better. The other players were great, but they're even greater to have a running back in that backfield like that.
But I will add though to that though, J Train, I thought they were going to outlaw, or should I say, pass rules against the tush push. Jalen Hurts is the number one 1-yard quarterback touchdown converter, 66% in the league. And I know that 66% from the 1 yard or less is all because of the tush push. It's sickening. They got a couple of plays today off of the Panthers because of the tush push.
Look, you got to stop it. I mean, if somebody puts something in the league and they figure that they can take advantage of it, you got a strong offensive line. You need to have a defensive line that can stop that. Otherwise, there's no reason to complain about it because just someone found an advantage, and you yourself or anybody else, if their team had it, you would love to have it. You wouldn't even argue against it. But what I will say, to piggyback off what you said about your Panthers, look, if I'm a top seeded playoff team, or if I'm a team that's heading for the playoffs in contention for a top seed, I don't want to meet you guys down the stretch right now, because right now you're dominating. I mean, as far as, are you scary? Let's put it that way. You're very scary, and I wouldn't want to lose to you, because especially like the last 1 or 2 games, because only one team gets a bye. If you're in contention, like the Eagles, they couldn't lose this game because they wouldn't be able to keep up with the Detroit Lions. Detroit's in ahead right now. So it's just pretty scary. So again, hats off to your team for being overachievers and for having the heart to play and for making Vegas out to be phony liars. And now Vegas has got to give you some respect. And next game, I guarantee you they're going to have it closer, or they're going to have you winning. I don't know who you're playing, but they're going to be a lot closer than what they were with 13.5 and the spread. That didn't make any sense. I didn't believe that for 1 minute, especially after the few games you've played already. I was like, nah.
Yeah. They still, want us to be like on that downfall, on that downward trend. And I'm like, first of all, we're at the end of the semester. Sorry, we're at the end of the season. I'm thinking about school. We're at the end of the season where everybody plays tougher football. I mean, you got a lot of teams that don't have anything to lose, so their pleasure is just taking down the good teams to make sure they don't get anywhere. And you got some teams, I mean, believe it or not, actually fighting for spots for the top draft. I saw where Coach Prime basically gave a shout out to Antonio Pierce. He wants Shedeur to go to the Raiders. That's a whole different topic that, we're going to hear a lot about that before the season even starts. We've probably been hearing about that for at least a couple of years now with Shedeur. But I mean, I'm really sold on how we're playing, and I'm letting people know, be forewarned. No pun intended and no bias at all. The last time we were bad like this, the next year we went to the Super Bowl. So be very warned that the fact that Bryce is poised, he looks more ready to do what he's got to do. It's showing a lot. And in fact, we play the Cowboys next Sunday at 1:00. And y'all know that's going to be televised. That's my niece's 17th birthday. Happy early birthday, Pearson. I cannot believe you'll be 17 next
Happy
Sunday.
birthday.
And so that's her birthday, and her parents are diehard Cowboys fans. So I hope they're focused on her birthday and not that game, because we bringing them a big old L to that game. And with Cooper Rush playing for Dak and the struggles that Dak has had, unfortunately, Jonathan Brooks went down again with an injury. Y'all know he got hurt his senior year at Texas. And so this was literally like only a couple of, maybe 3 games that he's debuted this season that he's already back out. No contact injury, back out, no actual word. I think there was a little bit of a word before I jumped on here. Let's see, Jonathan Brooks carted off with a non-contact knee injury. Looks like this may be a re-injury from that torn ACL that he had. So hopefully not. But I mean, we see it all the time, J Train. And of course, then we had Raheem Blackshear that has an injury. He had a chest injury. Hopefully, it's something minor. But big loss. Adam Thielen, shout out to him, big playmaker today. Moton, who actually his dad played for the Eagles 30 years ago. And a fun fact before we pivot to the next team, Bryce Young was actually born 12 miles from Lincoln Stadium. He's a Philadelphia native, but he was raised in Cucamonga, LA, California. But he was born in Philadelphia. So, he's kind of home today. So he definitely played like it. So I'm looking forward to next Sunday and us getting a big W.
Perhaps he played in front of some family too, then I would imagine.
Yeah.
So let's cover some of these games. Look, there's 2 games still going on right now. The Bills and the Rams. The Bills have come back. It's the fourth quarter. It's 4:40 left, and they're down by 3, 35-38. And the Bears are just getting shellacked. Was I wrong about this game? It's 38-13 with 3 minutes and 31 seconds left. That game, in all intents and purposes, is over. The 49ers pretty much won that game. There's no coming back from there. And the last evening game finished, the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. The Seahawks ran all over the Cardinals 30-18. Now, let's get started with some of the early games here. Let's start with my Saints versus the New York Giants. The Saints went up there. They were projected to win the game. They didn't cover the spread. They won 14-11. They were up 14-3, and then they allowed them to get another field goal. And all of a sudden, they just allow a little weak team to keep clawing back. And they got a touchdown and the 2-point conversion and made it 14-11. The Saints, wow, they get an interception at the end of the game. Towards the end, they could get an interception. But then they go 3 and out and kick off the ball to them, punt the ball up to them, and allow these guys to get down to the end of the field, only to have Brian Brzee jump over the center and block the field goal.
That was crazy.
That is crazy, yes. So, they always give me a heart attack when I listen or watch the game, and they gave me one today. And look, and Derek Carr got hurt. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not really sold. I was talking to Mac and Jack earlier about Derek Carr, and I just not sold on him. So I agree with Jack, pretty much calling him a starting backup quarterback, because he seems to play like that. And so, look, man, they won this game, but they probably shouldn't have won this game. They should have won this game and beat them, the Giants, with ease, but you let teams that are down, that don't have their best players. They didn't have Dexter Lawrence in the game, and they still couldn't really run the ball. It just really was not good. So they're in limbo land right now. They're 5-8, so they're 2 games behind the leader, the new leader now in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't have a shot. I saw their schedule. They got to play the Commanders. They got to play the Packers. They got to play Tampa Bay at the end of the season. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for the Phillies. So, look, hats off to them for winning this game today, but I just don't see much else going on for them the rest of the season.
That injury looked absolutely bad. Derek Carr landed on his left arm. It may have even been his shoulder. But they're not even making any statements right now on what happened to him. I saw it. It looked like he broke his shoulder, or his arm at a minimum. They were trying to stabilize it. They walked him off the field. That tells you a lot. When they walk someone and you can see them stabilizing, that just lets me know they don't even want to cart you, because the jolting of the cart could even aggravate it more.
Right.
But he was obviously in a lot of pain. I hate that for Derek Carr. He seems to catch a bad rap like every season, honestly, since he's left the Raiders. It just seems to be something with him. I know you guys weren't 100% sold on him as your quarterback, but I mean, you got to get some wins in. You've already fired your head coach. You got an interim head coach in right now. It's just a lot going on with the Saints organization. I'm assuming there's another rebuild that's basically coming, because once you start losing head coaches in your pivotal positions, such as the quarterback, you definitely are looking at a position where, hey, we're just trying to get to the draft and try to rebuild where we are and just move forward.
Yeah, but right now, if they're winning games, you're pushing yourself further. I think they just pushed themselves out of the top 10 in the draft. And so quarterbacks are probably going to, I mean, they're a premium, in regards to where you got to pick them. So, and that's usually near the top. We probably won't get Shedeur Sanders unless we trade up. We did get some draft picks that we can probably couple up to move up. I would say we got a 3rd round and a 4th round and a 6th round for Marshawn Lattimore to add to what we have. So we got a collection of draft picks, but what are we going to do with them? I mean, time will tell when we get up to that point.
I mean, they weren't trying to. I'm sure they weren't trying to lose that game. I mean, I know as fans, a lot of us talk about, okay, we want to make sure we get a good draft and everything. And hello to you, Matt Henry. Let us know about your game today, what your thoughts were on your outcome. Thanks for joining us. Matt always joins us. So great to have him on. I mean, it's just one of those things, though, J Train. Like, fans are always like, hey, we really want to just lose out so we can try to get, a higher draft. And I don't know. For me, I'm just like, forget the draft. Let me just not go down the tank at this point. Tampa Bay is absolutely like taking over the division. Before the season started, I actually kind of was like, everybody was so sold on Atlanta and Kirk Cousins and that 140 mil. And I just wasn't sold on him because he was not a postseason quarterback. And this game today and last game, he threw like 4 interceptions in the last game. Today, I think he honestly forgot he wasn't playing with the Vikings anymore. And they literally doubled the loss score. Like, Atlanta scored 21. The Vikings had 42 points. I mean, they killed them.
Speaking of Cousins, yeah, let's go directly to that game since we're talking. Oh, my goodness. So, look, Kirk Cousins is on a streak. And it's not a good one. It's not a good streak at all. Kirk Cousins in 4 games has 0 touchdowns. This is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this from a accurate starting caliber quarterback that usually throws a lot of touchdowns. Now he has none. He has 0. I mean, you got to think.
That's crazy.
He threw for like 5 touchdowns and 500 yards. I mean, like 6 weeks ago against the Buccaneers. So they were on their way. So something just happened in between where he's in a slump. He's got 0 touchdowns in 4 games and 8 interceptions. 8 interceptions, and 2 today in that mix. And Raheem Morris is still backing his guy. He got to the podium and said, Kurt, you're still our guy. But look, let me say this. That's saving face. If you get to the point where you're down and you're falling behind Tampa Bay, you may try something different if he continues to play like this. You have an ace in the hole with Michael Penix. You got you are an ace in your back pocket, and he may end up going. They may end up going to him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of second guessed when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. And let's be clear, J Train, Michael Penix Jr. has had injuries to every quadrant of his body. Like, it was exposed during the combine. Before the combine, he's had like major issues in his arms and his legs. I mean, everywhere but his hairline. This gentleman has been injured. And he was picked higher than what everybody thought, and, I get everybody's got the, big Phoenix energy and all this stuff from college, but we always talk about the acclimation to the league. do the Falcons go ahead after this homecoming of sorts with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota? I think they really probably wanted to just play Penix today, but just save face because Kirk was at home, with the Vikings. But I think going forward, we may be seeing, even though Raheem comes out and says, hey, this is our guy, you and I both know they may say that on Sunday, but come the next Friday, you're getting a different story from the play line.
Or come Monday when they're watching film. Look, or when they're in the quarterback room, they may come out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or they're probably playing possum, so no one knows what their plans are, so they don't have a game plan for Michael Penix. They're going to typically have a game plan for Kirk Cousins. But look, Kirk Cousins, he threw for close to 300 yards. Or did he throw for 300 yards? Yeah.
Today's game, he's been putting up the yards.
Yeah, he threw for 344, but he had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Bijan went off his usual numbers, were 92, 1 touchdown, and a few reception yards. And Tyler Algier ran for 63 and a touchdown as well. But on the opposite side, Sam Darnold is doing his thing. Sam Darnold had his career highs against the Falcons. I mean, he had 47 yards and 5 TDs, 5 touchdowns. I mean, Jordan Addison is balling right now, 133 yards, 3 TDs. Justin Jefferson had 132 yards and 2 TDs, and Aaron Jones had 84 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. These guys are just lighting it up now. If Sam Darnold can continue the trajectory that he's going, the Vikings, I mean, they have to. They have to. You got the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, your adopted team.
Ultra competitive division.
Yes. And all 3 of those teams are going to the playoffs at minimum. They're going to the playoffs. But right now what they're fighting for is seeding. And so if you're in that division and you win the top, and let's just say Detroit, the season ends right now, Detroit wins the division, they're the number 1 seed and they have a bye. Mm-hmm. Nobody else gets a bye. Those other 2 teams, in the Packers and the Vikings, if they make the playoffs, the highest they can get is the 5th seed, because the other 3 divisions have to seed 2, 3, and 4. So that's which is crazy. So the worst record in the Falcons, or in the NFC South, will be higher than those 2 teams. That's crazy.
Dang, that is insane. And Matt, yes, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. You guys, this is going to re-air at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. So if you're coming in now, you'll get to see the replay at 11 p.m. Jonathan Brooks likely is done, Matt. I don't know. They haven't ruled anything out, but, coming back from an Achilles and then re-injuring with a no contact is pretty much, I'll use that phrase, no-brainer. But I hope not. But it's just, it's just crazy. But, yeah, Sam Darnold, listen, I always tell y'all that players go from the Panthers and flourish, except Christian McCaffrey's out, injured, probably all those years of playing with the Panthers. But Sam Darnold, 5 touchdowns, and the only thing Kirk Cousins had was 2 interceptions. Now, the yards match. Sam Darnold had like 347 yards, and Kirk Cousins 344. I mean, they were close, neck and neck in throwing, but Kirk was playing with the Vikings. That's the only thing. He was like their backup quarterback for today. So he was throwing just as much. They should just go ahead and give him 700 yards and be done with it. John Robinson, 22 carries, targeted quite a bit. Only 92 yards. That Vikings defense was on them. So he's averaging less than 10 yards per carry. 1 touchdown. And A. Jones for the Vikings, he had 1 touchdown, 13 carries, 73 yards. Mooney, who's always been lights out for them, had 6 receptions, but no touchdowns, 142 yards. And then Addison, I mean, the list goes on. Addison blew out today, for the Vikings. I mean, like you said, and this is one of those things, a team is only as strong as their quarterback. And Sam looked amazing, and the Vikings followed suit. And with their backup quarterback, Kirk Cousins, they got it done against the Falcons. So that's –
yeah. This is an opportunity for Kirk Cousins to bounce back out of his slump and to get revenge against the team that he pretty much said, we don't need you anymore. And
I mean, but they're 11. They're 11-2. They're 11-2. There's no way. They're one game more. I don't know. They actually are equal with the Lions. The Lions have lost 2 games, or have they've lost 1 game. They're right
They
behind
lost one
the
game.
Lions. That NFC North, we talked about it before the season started. It was going to be ultra competitive. And we thought for a while it would be all 4 teams, but Caleb Williams has hit a slump that no one can seem to come back for. Sorry for you, man. I know you talked about the Bears are bad news bears for real. They are getting declawed and depawed.
Yeah, the 49ers just put it to them. And speaking of close games, look, every dog has their day. The Rams are leading 44-35 against the Bills. The Bills have lost only 2 games too. They're probably going to lose this game as well. There's only 1 minute and 24 seconds remaining in that game. So look, I don't know what to say. The Bills defense usually plays a lot better than that, but they gave them 44 points this day. So
another week of close games. I mean, Jaguars and Titans game came down to 4 points, not even a full touchdown. Jaguars beat the Titans 10-6 today. That's an AFC nasty matchup. They're the bottom of the division. But Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's earning his coins, I guess.
Look, he didn't play. It was Matt Jones, but that game was like watching a two-toed sloth trying to get from one branch to another. It was just terrible and boring. It was god awful, man. It's like I couldn't watch that, and I just kept watching Red Zone for that game, and it was just pretty bad. But the fact that they won, look, it just says a lot about both teams. Jacksonville, they've had a lot of bad luck. And I don't know if it's the coaching with Peterson. They got skilled players. They just really just hadn't put it together. And the Titans, Will Levis, I mean, coming back from his injury, it looked like he started showing some signs of improvement, but he didn't do anything today either. And it's just and it's not like he played against a stout defense against Jacksonville. They just weren't good. It's just I couldn't stand this game. I don't even want to talk much about this game.
Steve-O, we got some comments. Speaking of not wanting to talk about it, Steve-O, hello. He says he heard there's a generational quarterback talent in the Niners game today. Damian Hernandez, hello, Damian. He said the Lions, Vikings, and Packers. Oh, and F. Caleb Williams too. Oh, wow. So he said F them all. Damian, who is your team? Clearly let's see, who did he eliminate? Oh, the 1, 2, 3. Oh, the Lions. He's a Lions fan, clearly, because he just named the entire NFC North with the middle finger. Hello, Damian. Thanks for joining us tonight. And process of elimination. Matt Henry is saying Buckeye Nation. He also wants to know, where does Darnold go next year? Because he only has a 1-year deal in Minnesota, saying McCarthy's future. Has anybody even seen JJ McCarthy? Seriously?
Look, let me say this. We talked about this either yesterday morning or this morning regarding Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold may end up staying with the Vikings if he continues to do well, and they allow JJ McCarthy to sit another year. I mean, because JJ McCarthy, to me, he wasn't worth the draft pick that he was taken. But Sam Darnold has shown some actual life. I mean, he's with a team. I don't know where he goes and who. I mean, if I'm Sam Darnold, I want to try to stay where I'm at. Because why would you leave a situation where you're with a good team, you have a great defense, and you have weapons to throw to? Let's just say, let's go back down. Let's go take revisionist history and go back down to memory lane and see where he played. He played with the Jets. Oh, pretty abysmal team. I mean, you see where they are right now with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Then he went to Carolina. Sorry, sis. He went to Carolina.
He won some games with us there. Like, we won like 5 games in a row.
But not great, though. Still not great. Not like what he has right now. This is where his best success has been. And, I mean, and he got a career high today. So I would suspect that he's going to try to stay with this team. They'll probably give him another 1 or 2 year contract. Because, I mean, he's still Sam Darnold. He's got to prove it more so, I think, over a longer period, not just one season. I mean, because if you do the ratio, his bad to good seasons, the bad clearly outweighs the good. This is his only one good season. So What did they say? TD Bills. Oh, they scored, but yeah, the game's over though. They got how much time?
To win.
Me too. That's one of my picks, but they're not going to win.
That's crazy.
Unless they get an onside kick.
Yeah.
But
look, you can't really do those anymore because you got to tell the other team you're doing it because they don't want the contact. It's crazy. You can't even have the element of surprise.
That's wild.
Speaking of surprise, Baker Mayfield runs all over the Raiders. I mean, everybody's running over them. 28-13. I don't know. I don't even think Antonio Pierce is going to remain with this team next year. I know we talked about early on, Coach Prime wants Shador to go there, but he may be wanting him to play for Antonio Pierce. But I mean, do the Raiders even hang on to him? He came in as an interim. Looks like he won a couple of games. Everybody got hyped up, including myself. I had nothing to lose or win from just saying that, in case you're listening, Jack. And now, here we are in a situation where he's just garbage.
So Sam Darnold could go to the Giants. I mean, it would save the Giants from drafting or developing a quarterback. Yeah, he could go there, but if you're Sam Darnold, why would you go there? That organization really bad. I mean, you're gonna put him back in a situation where he was before. So I would, if I'm Sam Darnold, unless you offer me, if the Giants are bringing him Brink money, if they're backing up the Brink truck to his house, then possibly. But other than that, if the Minnesota Vikings like what they have in him, and he can continue to be a bridge quarterback and a mentor to JJ McCarthy, stay there, stay where you are. That just makes total sense. There's no way I'd leave and go to a bad situation trying to make that situation a little bit better.
Yeah, Jets and Dolphins went overtime. Aaron Rodgers loses again. The whole world loves it now.
Jack. And Jack was definitely, he was trying to focus on the game, and they were winning. They were up 26-23, man. And then they allowed him to come back with 52 seconds left. They're up 26-23, and this guy runs a 42-yard kickoff return, get them to the 45, and man, they get in the field goal. They tie the game and get the ball and never look back. They scored a touchdown.
Quarter, but the last one.
Say it again.
They scored every quarter but the last one. I mean, it was just 3 points here and there. Second, third quarter are the only touchdown quarters that they had. Fourth quarter, field goal.
It's unfortunate because it's Rodgers' first 300-yard game in 34 regular season games. 34. And he threw for like 330, something like that, and the touchdown to his boy from the Raiders, Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. And Garrett had a good game. They didn't have Breece Hall today, but look, the Dolphins. One thing about the Dolphins, they can throw the ball, but they can't run the ball. I don't know how this is going to last and help them out in the playoffs if they get to the playoffs, because right now they're 6-7, so there's still opportunity for them to get to the playoffs, but they can't play in cold weather and they can't run the ball. So even if they do get to the playoffs, they're going to have a hard time. It's going to be tough sledding for them, literally, if they go to some place where there's snow. So I really think that the Jets, they're done, and Rodgers is probably going to get kicked out of New York at some point. If they don't, the circus continues next season. But it does. It does. It is a straight up circus there. And the New York media.
He brought all that drama with him, and now Green. So you know how it is. Like once a player that's really just the worst leaves, then the other franchise starts talking about him. Now you hear all the Green Bay fans talking about how he was just self-centered and all this stuff. But we didn't hear that as long as he's there. You know, he's basically Jesus Jr. while he's with the Packers. But now they're like, "Yay, Jets, your problem now." I mean, we hear that a lot when it's players that have tainted the locker room, which is what Aaron Rodgers has done. And I mean, to have such a pomp and circumstance around him. I mean, I remember them being on Hard Knocks, and they I just watched a few episodes. Just the attention around him was just literally nauseating. And he just was like, he's basically like, I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm over here, and y'all are all the Jets over here. So like Gladys Knight, and you're my pips. And if you don't sing on my cue, you know, off with your head, and he starts getting coaches fired and all that shebang.
David Ruffin and the Temptations.
There you go. I don't feel bad at all for Aaron Rodgers. He had 339 yards, enough yards to do something big, and he did. He took a big L. So Damian says, I don't think AP should get fired. Yeah, the Raiders aren't playing good right now, but it's not his fault. He was thrown to the Wolfpack with a bunch of nobodies, but Max Crosby, and he's a rookie head coach. Yeah, that's true, but this is his second season. And y'all know, you too, Damian, that even though people get injured, I mean, like J Train said earlier, they had like 40% of their people were injured, and they still fired Coach Allen. It happens. And so we as fans see it one way, but in NFL, it stands for what? Not for long. So if you got a job today, tomorrow you may not have it because it's all about the money.
And to go back to what you said about Aaron Rodgers when he was at Green Bay and no one was saying anything about him at that time, they weren't saying anything about him because winning cures all. If you're winning, it hides, it masks any type of dysfunction. And so, if everybody's happy about those wins, it's all kumbaya. But if someone leaves and they're taking that dysfunction with them, or things aren't like what it used to be, everything comes out the woodwork. Everybody starts singing like birds.
Yeah, look how they doing Saquon. It's really because they mad because he's winning. But I remember seeing like this part on Hard Knocks. It's almost like these teams go on Hard Knocks, all their businesses out there, then they trade like major people. The owners had an opportunity. Do you want to pay Saquon or do you want to pay Jones? And y'all decided to pay Jones. And you still ended up getting rid of Jones, and Saquon's gone. So now Saquon is soaring, literally, no pun intended, with the Eagles. He's breaking records. He looks happy. And geographically, Philadelphia is right down the road from New York. So talk about competition, not only just in the same division. Geographically, they were an hour, 45 minutes to an hour off I-95 from each other. So it's already got like a rivalry outside of the sports arena. But yeah, kudos to the Eagles. Last year, they looked really good, and then they took a downward spiral. Looks like this year, whatever they were going through last year in the locker room, even Sands, Jason Kelsey, and Fletcher Cox, who left and retired during the offseason, looks like these Eagles are on track to stay sky high.
Oh, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And my picks for the NFC Championship is the Giants versus the Eagles. Excuse me. The Lions versus the Eagles, not the Giants. The Giants, that's on the video. For all you Giants fans out there, sorry, I didn't mean to get your hopes up.
For the draft, you come out for the draft competition. That's what made you think about Giants.
That's what yes. But I'm the Lions versus the Eagles, and I picked the Eagles early in the beginning of the season to beat the Lions to go to the Super Bowl, and I picked the Eagles to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that the Lions would have something to say about that and actually win that game, but I'm going to stick with my pick since I picked them.
And I'm picking them to win it all, and when they do, I'm going to go get a shirt.
And I wouldn't be mad at that because the Lions, I was a fan way back in the day of Barry Sanders, still a fan of him, and I like to see the Lions do something this season or the next, and they have the opportunity to do it over the next few years because they drafted well. And they got some really key free agents, and they got an inspired head coach. You just really can't make that up. That's just real. That's real hard. And when you see people like Jared Goff talking about Campbell as the best head coach he's ever had in his life, his whole career, that's saying something because Jared has played under Sean McVay. He's played under some other coaches, and for him to say that, it speaks volumes about who Campbell is as a person.
And believe it or not, Jared Goff is actually the second highest rated quarterback right now, only behind Tua Tagovailoa, who's number one, believe it or not, in their ratings. I think they're both in the 70% market. So, it's just what it is. And Damian says Washington might be in the Super Bowl. And you know what? I wouldn't sleep on the Commanders. I don't know if they're going all the way to the Super Bowl, but they're definitely comparable for competition with that division.
Well, let's just say this. Washington is sort of peaking right now. Washington has far exceeded expectations of what their season was supposed to be, coming in with a rookie quarterback, a new head coach, even though Dan Quinn has experience and playoff experience, going to the Super Bowl, mind you, with Atlanta, even though they blew that 28-3. I hate to tell people about that.
That can't be on his resume.
But he does have experience. He's a good defensive coach, defensive coordinator as well. So, and they look good right now. But they had a few losses here. I think they peaked, but that's a team I probably wouldn't want to see Damian in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to see them in the playoffs in the early wild card round, because they might be a team that can take a team, one of those early teams out. But I don't see them getting past a Lions team or an Eagles team. There's no way.
There's no way. And talk about no way. There's a tale of two cities, 3-10 versus 10-3 record. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Browns. Get your bags back out, Browns. You guys had a lucky win against the Ravens, but it just must have been one of those things where a broke clock is right twice a day. You're back to your same losing streaks. Jameis Winston looking like he does. 212 yards, 2 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns. So half and half. He was mocked as saying last week after his other interception fiasco with his last game that he prays that the Lord just removes his interceptions. Like he just wants to overcome the interception demon. 24 for 41 completions, not good at all. Russell Wilson, meanwhile, Justin Fields, where are you? Russell Wilson is definitely the quarterback of the Steelers and the franchise future for that organization. 15 for 26, 158 yards. So these yards are low, y'all. That means the defense was really, really high on both sides of the ball. But 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris, 1 touchdown. Freiermuth, 1 touchdown. I mean, you get a ball, you get a ball. Judy got a touchdown for the Browns, and so did Nick Chubb. Not with a touchdown, but just only 11 carries and 48 yards. 27-14. They almost doubled the score of the Browns. Browns are now 3-10, and Mike Tomlin's Steelers, for like the 17th season in a row, are going to be playoff bound with a 10-3 record. Like, wow.
Yeah, so Mike has been known for never having a losing season, but this is a season where they're not even just concerned with having a winning record, but they're concerned with actually being in contention for not just the playoffs, but for the Super Bowl. Because when you look at this team, they're solid all across the board. They're solid in their offensive line. They're stout. They have an excellent run game, and they have a really good defense. And this is what you need to be successful in the playoffs, especially if you're playing on the road. You might be playing in some cold weather. They're suited for that because they play in cold weather. And Russell Wilson is just the top of the head of this big body here. Mm-hmm. He's got this team in the right direction. I wouldn't maybe I could say Justin Fields can sit and learn under a quarterback like Russell Wilson. He's not only a quarterback, but he's their leader. He's the unquestioned leader. It shows on and off the field. And when he talks, people might not like him for who he is, because people might think he's a little preachy and all this other kind of stuff. But when he speaks, he lives it. He's not just talking. He's actually doing it, and you can see it. And so whether people like him or not for that, who cares? If he's winning the games, he's playing, he's the old Russ cooking like he used to cook. This is what I want. This is what I want to say. Danger Russ is cooking, and I'm all for it. And I got them as Jack asked me earlier on the Big Football Show if I had to pick a third team that's like a bronze team, who would I pick? And I picked the Steelers. At first I picked Kansas City and then Buffalo. And then number 3 would be the Steelers. And unfortunately, I don't have the Ravens in that mix because they seem to be a little bit streaky.
They are very streaky.
Yes, they seem a little bit streaky. And maybe they get it together when they get towards the end here. They string a couple of wins here and then get to the playoffs and start doing things. But I'm liking what I see with the Steelers. And I think they're going to go pretty far, at least divisional round.
I will say when they first, Russell Wilson comes in, you have these ebbs and flows of all quarterbacks. Sometimes they stay down in the gutter. Sometimes they rise back up. I love the way he has literally redeemed himself with this organization, especially with the stint he had in Denver. that could have very well tarnished who he was, especially coming from Seattle and, going to the Super Bowl, all that good stuff with that organization. And then coming in and now, he did get a ring with Seattle, right? I have to remember.
Absolutely. They should have had two.
Should have had two.
Should have had two. Yeah, they played the Patriots and was on the 1 yard line and threw the interception, rushed through the interception.
Yeah, so he went to Denver. It's kind of like, you never miss what you had until it's gone. He went out there and went through the boot camp of Sean Payton. They didn't get along. And I say boot camp because it was literally like grueling, heads bumping, personalities not meshing. He goes to Pittsburgh. And at first, we're all just like, wait a minute, what are they doing? They just got Justin Fields. This is so dramatic. And Justin was winning games. I think he was 4-2 at the time. Next thing you know, it's like Justin didn't do nothing wrong, but we're just going to go ahead and bring a little bit more seasoning in. And, that's why Mike Tomlin is who he is, because he is definitely the master, the one of winning seasons. And Pink Fanfare, hello to you. Yep, we talked about that at the very beginning of the show for like 15 minutes. So we're going to re-air this show at 11 p.m. I don't want to, move the focus back to that because we talked about it. J Train was very giving today. He allowed me to just go on and on and on about the Panthers, which everybody on the network does. They know I'm going to put a plug in wherever I can, as long as, and I haven't been speaking much about us because we've been losing, but still losing, but just good. So, yep, we definitely saw it, and you got to make sure we say what's up to you, sis. So glad to have you on tonight. But, yeah, J Train, I mean, Tomlin knows what he's doing, and that's a team, the AFC North, I think for a minute everybody was above 500, and they all just started tanking. Don't got to worry about the Browns. Don't even got to worry about, I don't think, the Bengals. I'm just like, Pittsburgh is in a whole league all on their own.
Yeah, so look, let me say that Pittsburgh in that division, they own it. There's nobody else close. But you mentioned the Bengals. Yes, the Bengals would be there if they had a semblance of some sort of defense. If they had anybody outside of Trey Hendrickson that could play the game. It's really not good for them. Their offense is putting up 30 points a game. If you're scoring 30 points a game, their record should be opposite what it is. They shouldn't be 4-8. They should be 8-4 or greater. But the defense is allowed the Steelers to get their highest score total of the season with 44
That's
points.
Crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, and hi to producer Linda. She's coming on. Give Mac our love. Let him know we got it held down for him tonight. And if y'all need us, we gonna be here all the time. I'm out of class, so y'all can literally just depend on me for real. But we got it covered. J Train is the great host here, and he's allowed me the blessing of coming on tonight. So I'm just very excited to be here. Pink Fan First says the Rams and Bills game was electric. Yeah, so that has wrapped up now, J Train. Like we saw the Bills try to fight back. Not sure what's going on with Josh Allen. Final
score. Oh my goodness, it was 42-44.
Whoa,
they did.
It's even closer. That's
but the game it's over. Unfortunately, it's over.
That's a heartbreaker. 7-7, neck and neck. First quarter, second quarter, LA pulls away. They get 17 in that second quarter alone. Third quarter, they get 14 while you got Buffalo just scoring their one touchdown. Buffalo tried to come back in the fourth quarter, 21 points alone in the fourth quarter. And LA tries to put just their sixth there, and they lose by 2 points.
Oh,
is
man.
Buffalo still competitive or not? What is going on with the AFC teams?
They're just Buffalo knows it's got to win in order to stay in contention for that number one seed, and this just put a dent in their plans for that because the Kansas City Chiefs has only lost one game. They play tonight. They play was that the Chargers? They play the Chargers, so they got
beat.
The Chargers are pretty sneakily good. I mean, they are playing very inspired football, and they're underrated. They're really underrated. But Jim, you got to give credit to Jim Harbaugh. He's always been that coach when he was at Stanford, when he was with the 49ers, when he was with Michigan, and now with the Chargers. He is showing you, I'm that dude. I am that dude. And I'm going to get my team out here inspiring to play. I mean, look, You're talking about people. Who are these guys? Lad McConkey. I mean, you got J.K. Dobbins, who's not even starting. He didn't play last week. He was hurt. And they're still doing it. I mean, so you really got to tip your hat to Jim as a really great coach. Coaching matters. It really matters.
He's in the runnings for Coach of the Year. I saw that come out earlier today. He's actually amongst him, of course, Mike Tomlin. Let's see. Let's just real quick. I want to give everybody their flowers because, I mean, y'all know Dan Campbell is leading. Let's be clear.
Dan Quinn's in there. Dan Quinn's in there.
Is there. Yeah, we might be naming them all so far. I think there's about 6 coaches that they've got up there. Of course, last year was Kevin Stefanski won for the 2023 season of the Browns. What a difference a year makes. So right now, let's see, they've got, of course, Dan Quinn's leading it. You got Mike Tomlin, Kevin O'Connell from the Vikings. No surprise there. Jim Harbaugh, we talked about him. Of course, Sean Payton is actually still in the run as well.
He should be.
Dan Quinn, Sean McDermott from the Bills, even though I don't know how long that's going to last. Matt LaFleur from the Packers. Mike McDonald from the Seahawks. Wow, okay. And Andy Reid, of course, the Chiefs. Those are rounding out your, let's see, 6, 9, 10 candidates for head coach.
To me, my pick would be a guy that's turning a team around from scratch. Somebody like Jim Harbaugh or Dan Quinn, because those teams were horrible prior to their arrival. And to me, and and Sean Payton possibly. I mean, he's got one. He got a coach, and they got a really good defense. But I mean, he's got a quarterback, and they got a really good defense. But yeah, I would really, really, really prefer to see a coach that doesn't have really much to work with, and they're doing what they can with the best they can with what they have.
I mean, but do they have to win to show improvement? Would you say that they have to be winning games?
For sure, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So I guess that's why Dan Canales is out for the Panthers, because clearly, y'all, let me just put that plug in. Dan is doing things he's doing things on both sides of the ball. He is not a new coach because he came from Tampa Bay, but he's definitely, we weren't so sold at first, but as time goes on, we've seen huge improvements on both sides of the ball, especially because they have not moved a lot of people around. It's the same people, so it's got to be coming from coaching that we see the improvement. But yeah, Jay Train, those people are up there now. What else is going on in our news tonight?
Well, I mean, we can go back if you want to talk about. I think we covered this Friday night, the penalty for the late hit. I mean, or the hit on the quarterback.
Oh yeah. So I don't know what the resolution is to that. Everybody has these big campaigns, and or we want to call attention to this or attention to that. But you have these off-season meetings with the Players Association and the league. Nothing seems to happen. I remember speaking probably about a year ago now, myself and Byron Williams from the New York Giants. He was a former NFL player, still very active in the NFL and president of the NFL Players Association out there in Texas. He talks about how they were talking about one time getting refs that actually are former players so they can bring more awareness to these types of calls, to the challenges. For instance, you see plays that go down and for a fact that's a catch, or for a fact that's a target, or for a fact that that's an offside, and it's missed and they're in critical, points of the game. Some people say, hey, if you play well the whole game, you don't have to worry about one thing being the deciding factor. But sometimes it can come down to that. I mean, Jay Train, you guys experienced that against the Rams in the NFC Championship game back in 2018, and you missed the Super Bowl because of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, that still haunts me to this day. And then, I know the Saints have had opportunities, and look, they still had an opportunity to win that game, even though that call, it wasn't like the game ended after that call was made, but we had a chance to close that game out with the last remaining seconds in regulation to be able to kick a field goal and win the game. But that's neither here nor there. It's gone. But in this situation with this guy, I mean, look, I think the argument is that Trevor Lawrence slid late. He slid late, and then the guy hit him, and now he's suspended for 3 games. And if I'm not mistaken, if you're suspended for 3 games, that takes your pay away as well. So that's taking money out of his family's life. I mean, I don't know. He's probably not making like prime money. I mean, if you're in the league, you're making really good money, but to take money away from somebody who's trying to, take care of their family and everything like that. And if it's not really his fault, like I said, I mean, you got pundits, you got former players, everybody's saying that Trevor Lawrence slid late. And what is the guy supposed to do? The rules have changed to really support the offensive side of the ball. And it doesn't help. You can't hit a guy lower than what you used to, which I'm all for. You can't hit a guy lower. You can't hit him in his head. I'm all for that too. But guys are trying to do what they're supposed to do. But now quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes are taking advantage instead of them running out of bounds. And so when they know the guys, Pat Mahomes is good for this. He'll try to run out of bounds and fake like he's going to run out of bounds. So the guy slows up because he knows he can't hit him and then just takes off down the field. So what am I supposed to do if I'm a defensive player? Like, I couldn't hit him, but here he is winning games because he's taking advantage of the rule changes. Mm-hmm. So, it's just there's no happy medium here. So they got to figure that out. They got to be able to protect not just all of the offensive players, but you got to protect the defense as well. And I don't mean just by hits, but I mean by them being penalized and, again, taking their money away for things that might not be their fault.
Yeah, and they pay. A lot of people don't realize. I've watched like 30 for 30. A lot of players go broke because what we don't realize, okay, we see this $1 million figure that they're getting, but they pay taxes in every city that they play in. So when they're playing in California, which has a very high tax rate, or New York, which has a very high tax rate, or even the Miami area, they are picking up a lot of money, that is coming off. So we might see 1 million, but by the time it's all over, it may be like maybe $250,000. Like it may be a lot of money that is coming out. So for them to be suspended, you would think that they would use a little bit more, discernment, and just all about advocating for your fellow player. Like, yeah, I get the competition and stuff like that, but who would want to go out and injure your brother in the game? Like, this is all a part of a family. They always say football is family. Why would you deliberately try to injure somebody or take them away from what they do for fun and for, financial support? Why would you do that? Like, it cannot be that much hate out there to do something like that. So we definitely, have to be engaged as fans. Maybe sometimes they say the fan is the most powerful player. Sometimes as fans, sometimes it takes us to call out certain things. And hopefully in doing that, maybe 3-4 years, maybe 5 years. I don't know how long it will take. We've been talking about this since Cam Newton was playing back in 2015, like 2011, all those years. And we are like 13 years removed from that at this point. Chargers and Chiefs are coming up tonight. That's going to be a good game. We talked about that. The 2 CHs. Who you got in that game?
Look, I think there might be an upset here. The Chargers have the opportunity to be able to win this game. They got a really good defense. Patrick Mahomes is susceptible to throwing interceptions. They got 4 out of Kirk Cousins last week. They maybe could get a couple out of Patrick Mahomes tonight, but they're playing in Kansas City, so I think the Chiefs are going to win. And especially the Chiefs want to separate themselves from Buffalo with that loss tonight, so they can do that with a win tonight. I think they're going to win.
They're probably going to do that. And they actually do kind of agree. Sometimes they can be pretty soft on some of these rules, but at this point, you want to make sure that people can come back and play other games. I think that's what the bigger picture is, not just about them being soft. And the Pink Fan first said some of them do have underlying behavioral issues. We've seen that all the time now. As we got like literally a minute to go, we got tomorrow night's game at 8:20. The Bengals and the Cowboys, another messy fest. 5-7 Cowboys, 4-8. I cannot believe the Bengals are 4-8. Joe Burrow, what is going on? Whew.
Well, it ain't his fault. Joe's leading the league in yards and touchdowns. He's got 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. You can't do – if you're playing like that on an MVP level, your team should be winning. But it's the defense that's just poo. They are poo. Garbage. Straight stink. They garbage, man. I don't know what to say about them. It's just you're really hurting your team. Offensively, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, man, they balling out. But you got to ball out, continue to ball out just to get closer a 3-point game. Letting you lose, you're putting up 30 points. Somebody's going to put up 33 or 34 or 35, 40 because you can't hang with them. Your defense can't hang. It's just bad. But I pick Cincinnati to win this game. Dallas is just horrible. I don't think they're gonna hang. They can't handle the track meet on this one.
They can't handle it. Hi to you, Yoli. And yeah, that's gonna be where we end it. I got the Bengals. They haven't been the same since Jamar Mixon, went to the Texans. But we shall see. J Train and I, it's been a great time tonight, J Train. And we thank everybody for the love. It's gonna re-air at 11 p.m. Join Mac and J Train every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, NFL Download. I'll be on Wednesday night, Prim and Proper Sports, coming up 9 p.m. And also Mac and Jack show, a bunch of shows going on. J Train, any closing words?
And don't forget Friday night with the fellas. 9 p.m.
All right, guys, we wish you a good night. Thanks for joining us.